Okay, for this video we will be modeling stairs, and we'll use the commands extrude curve, and extrude surface. And we'll also get introduced to the sweep command, so sweep 1 and sweep 2. So to start with, we'll do a really basic stair, rectilinear stair system. The way this line work is, it's not really in a position where we can use it to extrude. So if I want to do this, I've got to, as an extrusion, I've got to do rectangles. And so here are my two rectangles, and then I can actually extrude these. So I'll go EC, and we're going to kind of pretend like the go 0.5, enter. So we'll pretend like this is 1.5 feet up. So there's one, and then this one will be 1 foot. And I'm just down here in the right thing to make sure everything goes vertically. It should, but it's a good kind of best management practice here. And I'm going to go 1.5, and I like to hold my shift down when I do this, and then I can just go ahead and hit enter, and it'll go ahead and put that at 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this up, and if this is supposed to be, oops, copy. If this is supposed to be, a surface that's 6 inches above this, so we go up, this is 18 inches off the ground, we go up 6 inches. If I just do a planar surface here, this is kind of a flat thing. We've got this gap here, and that's not really how this would work. You would have all this decking structure, but you would also have probably like a fascia board here that kind of hides all that and makes it look really clean and build up with this with these stairs that enter it. So what I'm going to do is essentially just use extrude curve again, but I'm going to extrude it down, and I make sure it's a solid, right? Once you default it to solid, it'll keep doing that. And that kind of gives me, it's not exactly, obviously it's not going to really be like this, but just in terms of trying to see your design and how does it work together in 3D, these kind of quick models is what we're after, really. Just sketch models. You can get it into, Lumion, or you can make edits as you go really easily. So I went ahead and just turned those onto their own layer, or put them on the stairs layer, and there's that. So we'll do a similar one here, but in this case, we'll still use extrude, but one of the problems with this particular one is that you end up with this kind of line geometry, and you can imagine that if this were concrete, right, this would all be one unit, and so it's kind of weird to have these as two different things. And then if you ever had to edit, if you have 6 or 8 stairs, you'd end up having to like basically erase this, do this again. And it's somewhat easier, I think, to have it all as one unit. And so that's what we're going to do with this one. And we'll start with just drawing, let me get myself into position here. Start by drawing like the profile of the section of the stair. So 0.5, and I go ahead and click my left click, and the way I'm doing this is actually typing in the length 1, and then you can see the white line is actually saying this is the direction we want it. Well, I'm going to ortho this so that it stays in orthographic projections 90 degrees. I must also be careful not to put my look at what this is doing. It wants to O-snap to all this different stuff. So if this starts happening and you can't control it, just turn off your O-snap. But for me, I just kind of stay out of the way, and then I can go ahead and just left click, and that'll go ahead and the computer will take that measurement. So 0.5, and then I hit enter, and that just sets the distance, and then I can go ahead and do the ortho and the left click again with this one. And so right now we have this stairway in its profile or section, and we can extrude this also. So I just type EC, and we just go all the way to there. One of the things, obviously these stairs are not, paper thin. They're going to have some dimension to them, or depth. And I could draw a rectangle all the way around this and just make it sort of flat, like this one looks like, basically. Or I can think, oh, this will probably be like a 1.5 inch, 2x4 or something like that, or 2x6 or whatever it is. And so it'll have a little dimension to it, but it won't be that much. And the way I can do that is actually offset, and I'll offset, I guess I'll just do 2 inches so we can see it. And if I offset this curve, I need to be really careful to make sure it actually goes inside or down. And so I use this front to make sure I can see that in order to get it to where I can use planar surface, which is what I want to do with this. Since I'm almost certain it's planar, is I can go ahead and just take that and then take that outside geometry and hit planar surf and then copy that from there to there, and then we have kind of what looks kind of like it would probably be a wooden stair. Move that to its correct layer, and then I also just go ahead for fun, make sure that I have this there, and we can kind of see what it looks like. And that's sort of where we, you can add posts later, and when we do the pavilion section, you definitely will probably want to put posts in, but for now you can get a sense of what these stairs would be like and if your design is working. So that's sort of how you use extrude. If we take another example here, where I'm going to go ahead and do exactly the same thing I did before, just this 0.5. And get that profile. Here you can see if you're using a rounded surface, you have a little bit of an issue, right, that you can't extrude, because extrude just wants to go rectilinear. It can't make this curve. But this is where the sweep commands come in, because what we can do is essentially like sweep this around this surface, or sweep this surface around this geometry. And if you think about sweep, we're going to sweep one rail. Sweeps are great because the commands actually like sort of tell you what they want, and it wants the rail first. So if we think about like a railroad, then these will be the tracks. The rail is the track, and this is the train, or the cross-section curve that gets swept along it. So I'm going to use this sweep one. I only need one rail, so I click it, and it automatically just says sweep, select sweep shape. So it's already asking to go ahead. You don't have to hit enter or anything. It just wants you to show these sweep shapes, or what used to be called cross-section curves. So I'll go ahead and hit that, and then once you can do multiple ones, but in this case I only have one, and I'm going to hit enter. And there are a bunch of different editing tools that we could use, but most of the time I'm looking at like, oh, do I want some joints in there? And maybe that's pretty good if you're kind of thinking about construction and how these are all evenly split, and then maybe this is like a little expansion joint that goes in there. If you want it to just for renders, just look cool, just do it like this. Road light might make it a little bit refined, but there's a whole other thing going on with this, and I think freeform is fine with this. This is pretty straightforward. So we'll hit OK, and you can see that this has cut this pretty nice in here. And if this were concrete, for example, I could just go ahead and do this. And I went ahead and that's a closed curve, and it should be planar, so it went created that surface. Here I might want to rotate this or whatever, but just because in case I make a mistake in the rotate, I'm just going to go ahead and just draw it again. It's pretty straightforward. And then we'll join these. And I'll go ahead and click this, and then move it to its layer. And that's sort of how you would do round stairs or round objects. Same thing here. This is really no different. I'm just going to show you sort of how sweep 2 works, a slight variation. And go ahead, and I'm going to copy this from here to here, and then I'm going to mirror. It's like save yourself some time, right? And this should get mirrored. You couldn't see that, but it mirrored to there. I was looking at in the top view to find out if it was working or not. So here, there's really no need to sweep from this geometry to that geometry. It's exactly the same. Where this is really kind of cool, any sweeps will actually do. If I want it to be square and then go, tighten up or get wider and then come back to a narrower sort of look. So sweep 2 rails, I click. In this case, obviously there are 2 rails instead of 1. And then it wants to know my sweep shapes. So here are my sweep shapes. um, enter. And actually, I have created a little bit of an issue with the fact that I have this bottom piece here, and I don't think it really matters, but I kind of don't want that there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and trim this out real quick. I just don't want to create any problems that aren't necessary, but it shouldn't really do anything. But it's always a smart idea to just do as pure geometry as you can for Rhino to be able to not have to think too much. So I did my rails, and now I'm going to do my sweep shapes. And you notice it didn't ask me any of this, like which direction is it supposed to go, kind of stuff. So just to kind of keep it simple. One thing you're going to see, I've already clicked, I have maintain height on, but whenever you sweep two, you always have to look and see, is it sort of wobbling somewhere in the center? And sometimes, when you're doing landforms and stuff, this can be really cool. Like you end up getting kind of these random things, but things like stairs, they really, really have to be, you have to maintain height. So clicking on the maintain height for these like really built structures is a better idea. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. I think it looks good. And you can see it's all pretty uniform. Uh, and the more you kind of play with these with different shapes of cross section, the more you'll learn. But like I said, we'll do that soon enough, and you'll get a sense. These are just kind of the basic starter set. So here's your stairs, and that should be it for this. Thank you.